I slept with my former high school teacher and have a date with him this weekend. How weird is this? Original post. July 28, 2024. So, looking for some input in how weird this is or not. I'm sort of hoping it's not that weird, but it feels pretty weird to me. Hence why I'm asking strangers online opposed to anyone who knows me. In high school I had a really great art teacher. He was head of the art department at the private school I went to. There were only a few art teachers, so I was in his class more than once during the 4 years I was there. I really liked him because we had a lot in common as far as the book, music and movies that we liked. At the time, I didn't know many people who liked the same things I did, and I was sort of obsessed with all my favorite bands and stuff, so to have somebody to talk to about it and debate about it was really cool. He also introduced me to other similar bands and things like that. Note that these conversations were always in the classroom with other students. There was never anything inappropriate between us at all. I do remember after a parent-teacher conference night, my mom coming home and telling me all of the nice things he said about me, and that she didn't know if she should let me go in this trip to Europe that he was chaperoning because he maybe liked me too much. But statements like that were typical from my mother. It's like she just wanted to create gossip, and I sometimes sensed she was desperate for me to do something scandalous for reasons I don't understand. She's the biggest gossip and shit stirrer ever. Anyway, I went on the trip and nothing weird happened. So I'm 26 now. Well past graduation. I've since graduated college. I've thankfully glowed up since then. I ran into him at a local bar and we talked for hours, and then I went home and had sex with him. He was married back when I was his student. He talked about his wife a lot back then. They've since divorced, and he says the main reason is that they were initially a child-free couple by choice. But then he changed his mind and decided he wanted a family, and that wasn't something they could agree on. So I have an actual date with him tomorrow night. How weird is this? While he definitely remembered me from when I was his student, I feel like I'm meeting him as a different person now. I'm an adult and haven't been his student in over 8 years. We haven't been in touch at all since then. Can I treat this just like I would anyone else I just happened to randomly meet and hit it off with? Or is there like a general line that shouldn't be crossed since I was once his student? Relevant comments. OOP responds to multiple questions on how old the high school teacher is now and if they feel weird now that they are an adult and gets along so well. You've kind of summed up how I feel. Well, I don't feel gross about it personally, but I'm like, will everyone else I know think this is weird? Then I wonder why I'm so concerned with what they think. But I am. I don't think he ever flirted with me. Did I have a bit of a crush on him back then? Sure. But he was always professional. It's not like he gave me special treatment either. He was like that with other students, not just girls. It was just more of a relaxed atmosphere in his classroom because it was an art class. Flynn_M who asked who for the date? Were you alone at the bar or was he? If not, what did your friends think? OOP he asked me for the date, but it was after we'd slept together. Neither of us went to the bar alone. He was there with a friend, a male friend, and I was there with a guy friend of mine, no romantic interest there, truly just friends who met in college and meet up once or twice a month for a drink. My friend was ready to head out and I told him he could go. I only live about 2 minutes from the bar by car, so I'd just get an Uber. I told him I knew my former teacher, but I didn't tell him exactly how I knew him. He was reluctant to leave at first, but my former teacher, wish I had a better way to refer to him, assured him I'd be fine. And NBSP. Update. July 28, 2024. So, I recently posted about sleeping with my former high school teacher and got a ton of opinions on whether it was weird or not. We went on an actual date yesterday and it went great. I think we both had a good time and we had plenty to talk about without any of it really being about back then when I was his student. I think that's a really positive sign. He said absolutely nothing about having any sort of interest in me back then, but I didn't expect him to. He was truly always professional as a teacher. Despite telling myself that I wouldn't sleep with him again right away and that I'd try to take things slower so that we could actually get to know each other, the current versions of each other, not the people we were years ago, the chemistry and physical attraction was too much for me to resist. I went back to his house and we had sex. It was amazing, like we've been sleeping together for ages and I'm totally comfortable with him and he knows exactly what I like. I very rarely click sexually with a guy so quickly. It takes a while for me to feel comfortable enough to really fully get into the sex and vocalize what I want and need, and for a man to understand what I enjoy. Not the case here. He even put me in my favorite positions without me saying a word, and I didn't even need my mini vibrator to get off like I typically do with partnered sex. I spent the night and we had sex again this morning, without any awkwardness afterwards. I can't stop thinking about it or about him. We grabbed coffee near my house and he walked me home since I live very close in this little neighborhood. His birthday is coming up this week and he was planning to go out with a group of friends. He's invited me along. He warned me one of the people is a former teacher from the school I attended, but I never had this teacher and I don't think he'd recognize me at all, even if I still looked exactly the same as when I graduated. I decided to bite the bullet and just ask him if he thought it was weird at all, based on how we originally met each other. He said it's a little weird if he thinks about it, but he said he probably wouldn't have even recognized me if I hadn't told him who I was. He remembered me when I told him who I was, but he doesn't really see me as the same person. He asked me if I thought it was weird and I told him not really, but I think other people might think that it is. He said he's past the point of really caring what others think. I sort of regretted bringing it up because I don't think he was really focused on whether it was weird or not, and I don't think he was really thinking about the past at all. Now I worry I put the idea in his mind that this is weird and he's going to no longer be interested. Now, reflecting on it, I think he's telling the truth when he says he doesn't look at me and think of the person I was as his student. I actually think it's me who still sees him as my teacher. He's changed much less than I have, which makes sense since I was a teenager and he was already a full-grown adult. He looks nearly the same as he did 8 years ago, so I look at him and I do see the same person. In my head, I still refer to him as Mr. XYZ. It feels weird for me to call him by his first name or to see him listed in my phone by his first name. So, now I'm realizing maybe this is more of a me problem. It really started to dawn on me after we had sex last night. I wasn't thinking of him as my former teacher at all when we were actually in the act, but afterwards I went to the bathroom and my immediate internal reaction was, OMG, I just fucked Mr. XYZ. And, who knew Mr. XYZ could fuck like that? Then I realized, oh shit. I'm thinking of him as my teacher. Either way, I want and plan to see him again and go out with him this week. I just can't see it lasting long term if I can't eventually get used to his first name at the very least. Relevant comments. Opinion if they still look the same from their high school years and if they were worried they have changed so much. OOP, downvoted *** no. I don't really look anything like how I looked when I was in high school. One of my best friend's moms even told me she's never known anyone who looked so different from when they were a kid. I didn't think I had changed that much, but looking at pictures of my other friends, she was kinda right. I just mean that it's not that unusual from somebody who I knew during that period of my life to not recognize me at first. It's happened with other people I went to high school with. So it's not that hard to believe he didn't recognize me at first. It's not like he tried to pretend he didn't remember details about me once he knew who I was. He even asked if I was still into some of the specific things I was into back then. I approached him at the bar, not the other way around.